G'day! Today we're doing a bit of work on a Mitsubishi ASX CVT transmission, 2017, 2018, 12th month 2017, 2 litre, and it's got the JF017E transmission in it, or the RE0F10E. Now, we had this car in about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, with multiple transmission fault codes. What we did, we removed the valve body, flushed all the solenoids out, cleared all the codes. I'll show you that in a moment. They've probably done about 300 kilometres, 400 kilometres since we did that. It still has a little bit of a shudder up in the higher gear shifts. What we're suspecting, it may be a worn valve body. We've re-scanned it, I'll show you that in a moment. All the electrical codes are all gone, but we still have that shudder. It should have relearnt in that period of time, or driving it around like that. And also bear in mind that the vehicle can't relearn unless it's at operating temperature. If you're doing short trips, you're not going to end up relearning it anyway. So that's why we let them take it for a few weeks and see if it improved it. Has improved it, but it hasn't fixed the problem. Now we've managed to get rid of all the fault codes. So the solenoids are operating okay, or they're clean. Doesn't mean that they're not leaking. We've got the historical scan here. This is when we did the job on the 1st of March, and we had 5 transmission codes. Yeah, we'll look at that. Lock up solenoid, selector, solenoid, pressure control solenoid. What we did a flush on the solenoids and ended up clearing all those fault codes. Now we've given the car back to the owner, and they've done approximately 300 or 400 kilometres. It has improved it, and there's a slight shudder under medium, a little bit above medium throttle. What we're going to do is replace the whole valve body. We're believing that the valve body's probably worn, even though the solenoids are operating okay. And here's the scan that we've done today. Today's the 17th, so about 16 days ago, a couple of weeks ago, and everything is passed. No electrical faults, but it still has that shudder. And another thing I forgot to mention, to be able to test everything, you've got to have all the basics checked and confirmed. Battery's one of the first things that you need to confirm, as well as all the electrical connections. So the battery's fine. We've got a 560 cold cranking amps, which is that one. And you can see it's 560, the internal resistance is bugger all, 5.05 milliohms, and the battery health is showing it's actually more than what it's rated at, which is good. You want to also make sure that the alternator's not overcharging, but that's another test. So we've got all that confirmed. All the electrical plugs have been checked and squirted a bit of dielectric grease in there, but we've still got that problem. Now these have a dipstick on them, so what we're going to do is, just to save a little bit of mess, we're going to suck the oil out of there with our vacuum pump. They do also have a drain plug if you prefer that way. Sometimes transmissions don't have it, so usually if they've got a dipstick we like to suck the oil out. And also these have an inline filter cartridge in the cooling line, which is under there. We like to replace these every second service on the CVTs. They are a fairly dirty running transmission because the steel belts running on those steel pulleys creates a fair bit of muck. So it's a good idea to replace that every second service. While these transmissions under 200,000, we recommend to do a transmission pan drop service where you don't just change the oil in it, you actually have to clean the magnets, replace the filter in there every 50,000 kilometres. When it's done over 200,000 kilometres, to do a service, pan drop service every 25,000. That way you'll get the maximum life out of your CVT transmission. And like I said, every second service you can replace this filter cartridge. To get to that, you've got to remove this cross member here, take that front engine mount off to get access to it. And we've just removed that stone guard just so you can see it a little bit more clearly. 10mm hand bolts. $10mm on the filter. Yeah, you just rotate that plug off and it'll just wind off like that. There'll be a little tang. You can just wriggle that off like that. And then you've got a spring clip there. You just need to pop that off and the plug comes out with the valve body. Like that. Careful not to lose it. Now the little selector lever there, you want to always make sure that you're supporting that arm when you're loosening it. You don't want to bend that shaft or anything like that. Now on some of the CVTs there'll be a little steel or metal sleeve that's under that, so don't lose that either. These don't have it. So just push the plug through. We've got 2 bolts left, let that drain a little bit. And make sure you remove it when it's cold, that way you don't get any distortion of anything. There we go. Now you can see the steel belt in there, and if you're be careful if you're running your fingers on here. Sometimes you can actually cut yourself on it if there's a burr or something like that. And if I run my fingers in there, I can feel there is a little step or a little bump in there on that pulley, and that's usually a spot where that belt runs on most often. It'll wear little steps or little grooves there, and the belt has to jump over it. So that's adding to our issue as well. And you can also do an air pressure test on the clutches there if you have a look. Just be aware that air pressure test it. It'll sometimes spit a lot of oil back out at you. And don't forget that there's an O-ring there between the valve body and the case. If you lose that, you're going to get a cross leak there, pressure leak, and cause you issues. And you can see the belt there. It's a little bit hard to see the pulleys. There is a little bit of a step there. Feel it. And there we go, there's the top of the valve body. Now we've got, on these particular valve bodies, there's a way to identify it, and it's this here. You see on the separator plate, they've got that little Pac-Man sort of facing up, and that one's sort of like an arrow. So sometimes they have two Pac-Men, sometimes they have two arrows. So you've got to make sure you match your valve body if you're replacing it, or even the separator plate, with that there. And also you'll notice that sometimes the solenoids are facing up. These have two switches, two pressure switches on them. And that one, I think that one's the primary pulley switch, pressure switch. Then you got your secondary, you got your torque converter clutch solenoid. You've got your primary pulley solenoid. We've got this one here, your secondary pulley. We've got this one, which will be your line pressure solenoid, selector solenoid, and that's it. And another thing, you'll find that your primary pulley solenoid, that one, which is your secondary pulley, and this one, the line pressure solenoid, they're all the same. The other one's different. And that one there. And the switches, the diameter of the switches are a little bit, one's a little bit bigger than the other, so you can't really mix them up either. Okay, we've got our brand new valve body and solenoid setup. You want to make sure that the loom, from the valve body to the case, the loom we've got to replace. And these also come with a CD. On some vehicles you need to take it to the dealership to get flashed to your vehicle. So we'll just swap the main harness or loom over, and then we can fit it. And it's a good idea to just do a comparison of all the oil ports, the solenoids, everything like that. And I actually forgot to just show you which bolts are tying the valve body to the case. So you can see this is the front of the transmission. We've got the rear of the transmission. So those ones there. We've got those two here. And also be aware that there are brackets that go over on that. You've got these two here where the selector is, or three, and basically all the ones along the front there. Down this side there aren't any except for down this end. You can see that. I'll just see all the ones that are marked with the red ink. Make sure the seal's in, and now we just line it up and just work that plug in. Hang on, before you push it right up. Push it in and over that shaft, and it's located on those pins. One. I'll put another one over this end. Yep, you can let it go. And it's a good idea to put all the bolts in before you start torquing them up. And we torque them all up to 8 Newton metre. And when you're tightening up the selector there, make sure, what we do is we just support it, that little arm, with a screwdriver there up against that bolt while you tighten it. If you don't do that, you'll end up bending something out of shape. And just double check your work. We've still got to put the circlip back on the little plug there. Blow out the plug, put a bit of dielectric grease or WD-40 or whatever you like in there. Clean the pan and the magnets. Don't forget the O-ring on the filter. And we've sprayed a bit of dielectric grease in there. And we'll just sort of slot it in, and then as you pull that cam back down, it should just pull itself in and it'll lock. It'll go click. There you go. And of course, don't forget to put your circlip in first before you do that, or you could end up pushing the plug back into the case. Filter's back on. Now we've cleaned the pan, cleaned the magnets. We're going to add a neodymium magnet in there. And before you put it up and bolt it up, just make sure that the magnets aren't interfering with anything. We like to put the magnets up on those little ridges, and the idea is to get the top and the bottom part of the magnet exposed to the oil to clean it as best as it can. And the pan's back on. Okay, we've got about 7 litres of CVT fluid in there. Now we'll take it for a run and see what's happening. Sometimes you don't need to reflash them with that CD. I think the Mitsubishis aren't too bad. The Nissans, you need to usually flash them. So just back from a short test run, and it was hunting for the gears, so it's sort of like it's revving and then bumping into the gears. It's different to flaring. A little bit hard to explain, but it's hunting for the gears, but it's shifting a lot better than what it was. It's actually shifting like a CVT transmission at this stage, but I still need to continue driving it to make sure that it relearns properly. And you do that by just soft upshifts right through the ranges, medium and firmer upshifts, and it seems to be improving every time I do that. And we've just come back and I just want to confirm that fluid level before I go out again. And at this stage it doesn't look like we need to take it to the dealership to get that CD reflashed with the transmission. There we go. I've just done about 40 odd Ks, I believe. Stopping and starting, there was the occasional shudder there, but it's definitely improved. And at high speed, what was happening, it was hunting for gears. Now, hunting for gears is where you'll see it rev up and then it'll engage into the gears. It's not like flaring where there's slipping. It's actually hunting for the gear. And I believe that with more driving, that will probably improve. The transmission will readapt and relearn as time goes on. Anyway, I hope that helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any comments or suggestions, leave them in the section below. And throw us a beer if any of this information helps. Much appreciated. Keeps us motivated to keep making more videos. Thank you for watching.